Welcome to the Mental Wealth Podcast, a place where you can find all things related to mental health. I'm your host, Tyler Awati, and today we're going to be talking about a topic really special to my heart. It is travel. I'm actually filming this as I'm traveling, right in Colombia, as in Colombia and Latin America. And yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy it right from the heart of the action. So let's get it started. I am filming this today because I feel like it has so much benefits. Travel has so much benefits that are not really exposed and not really talked about in the mental health community. So we're here to talk about it. Now, I want to go back a few years ago when I first started traveling and when I first fell in love with travel. That was when I first took my solo trip, my first solo trip. So it was a beautiful time. I was passionate about Alaska and passionate about Japan. They were so different places, but I wanted to go to them. And I remember it was around the time of COVID, and Japan was closed, and Alaska just, I don't know. I don't know why I forgot about Alaska at that time, but I figured Mexico's a good first step. It's a safe step for me. And yeah, so I just took that leap of faith, and it literally scared me. It scared me because I've never done it before. I didn't speak any Spanish, no classes, nothing. I literally started Duolingo like right after I booked the ticket. And I didn't book the ticket just out of the blue. It literally took me 3 days just to get the courage to book the ticket because I feel like it's the hardest once we take the first step. But after that, things get easier. So that's also a reminder for everyone that change feels uncomfortable, but at the same time, it is worth it, and it gets easier as we get more comfortable with it. So remember that. So I took that first step, I booked that first ticket, and I was terrified. But at the same time, it's just sparked a thing in my brain where I'm like, okay, I booked it. Now let me start doing whatever I gotta do to make the best out of this trip. I booked it for 3 weeks, and it was the best time of my life. I remember seeing people there that are amazing. I It was my first time trying hostels, which are, if you guys don't know, are basically shared rooms, and they're very affordable for people who are like students or not students, but just want to travel on the budget. I am actually currently filming this in a hostel in one of the cubes that people sleep in. So excuse the background, but the point of the story is that you can do it affordably and you don't have to feel ready to do it. Just do it. I took that leap of faith and it was the best time of my life. I met some amazing people, and I remember going back home with a new sense of possibility. I realized that people can do this for a living. I realized that the world is bigger and much more beautiful than we thought it was, at least what I thought it was. And that's one of the most important conclusions that I got out of that trip. It was that people are nice, people are kind. You just gotta put yourself in the right place and ask for help. And that was one of the most important conclusions. It also reminded me and helped me realize that people build their dreams. People don't just have their dreams fall out of the sky. They build them day by day. And it happens by being conscious of our time, conscious of our money, and conscious of our lives, the way we live. And it starts also with clarity about what we want. And I feel like that's one of the things that travel does, is that sometimes young people don't know what they want, and that this is the time to explore and see what you like and what you don't like. And that's important. It's important to know what you don't like, and it's also important to know what you like. But if you're not exposed to so many ideas and so many things and different perspectives, which travel does, then you wouldn't really know what you're clear about. Like, yes, you might be clear about what you don't want, but you don't really know what you want. And this is where travel comes into play. So I do feel like travel is important in exposing us to different perspectives. And I also feel like the change in the environment helps us just get out of our comfort zone and helps us think in a new way, helps us be more empathetic to different people and different cultures. It helps us be more sensitive to them, helps us be more understanding, and realize that our way might not be the only way, and that's okay. That's okay. It gets us out of that echo chamber and shows us that the world is much more diverse than we thought it was. This is not necessarily just in race, but also in ideas and ways of thinking, and even the definition of happiness. Happiness is so constricted, I feel like, in the Western world, where I feel like it's much more expansive and much different in different places. For example, I feel like happiness in the Western world is like, the American dream and having like the house and the wife and all these possessions. But in other countries, it might just mean connection. It might mean love. It might mean different things to different people. And that's what I feel like travel has taught me. It taught me to consider different perspectives because the world isn't just as black and white as we think it is. So let's keep that in mind. Traveling has so many health benefits. And obviously, this is a mental health channel, so we're going to focus on the mental health benefits. But I do feel like, honestly, not enough people spend some alone time with themselves, some enough alone time with themselves. Quality and intentional alone time. What do I mean by that? I mean, do you see people normally just going out and eating alone? Not often, especially young people. And I feel like this is important. It's important to build a good relationship with ourselves because ultimately we're with ourselves 24/7. So I do feel like traveling kind of forces us to do that in the best way possible because we're going to be alone on the plane and not know anyone. It forces us to get out of our comfort zone, to talk to people that we don't even know, and to spend time in a foreign country where we probably don't know anyone. So I feel like that's important. It's important to realize that we can count on ourselves. We can confront these obstacles because traveling is not easy. It's not. It's uncomfortable a lot of times. When I talk about travel, I don't talk about the fancy kind of travel. I talk about the travel that is more characterized as backpacking. Something on the budget, something for young people who normally don't have thousands of dollars to spend on a vacation, and the type of travel that is more slow paced, more intentional, and you really try to know the place. And this can look different to different places or to different people. Excuse me. This could look different to different people. For example, I feel like a lot of people can benefit from websites like Workaway or websites like that allow you to volunteer. I don't have some on the top of my head, but basically volunteering for different organizations and really giving back to the people. Because I feel like we're very blessed, but we don't really know it. And this is one thing that travel taught me. And people always pick on, let's say, Americans for being like, I guess, have a lot of money and not even knowing it. But I feel like this is a part of the reason because Americans don't even know that they're blessed. And this is not their fault. I feel like they're just, their culture is not based a lot on travel. And I live in the US, so I can speak from experience by saying that a lot of people in our society can benefit from travel, whether it is in the United States, but I do feel like traveling outside the United States to cultures that are so different from us can help us a lot. To help us realize our privilege, realize that the things that we take for granted are really, really hard to get in other places. So I feel like traveling to Latin America, Southeast Asia, these places can can be of great value for a lot of people, especially the people that are living in Europe or in America. But the main point here is to change the environment. Why am I saying that? Because changing the environment is what helps us get out of our comfort zone. It helps us, okay, this we don't have the people that we associate with, and we're exposed and we're forced to acknowledge different ideas, even though they might disagree with us. So, with that said, I remember a story when I was first traveling solo in Mexico, and I went to visit the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. It was very tough to get there. I barely knew any Spanish, so and I decided to take the bus, and it was like about 3 hours to take the bus. It was a arduous journey, but I got there, and it was hot, and it was just magical. And I was so excited to enter and see those artifacts, see those monuments, if you will. And the person at the door said, "Sorry, we can't let you in. You're too late. There's a lot of people in, and we're past capacity." There was time. They technically weren't closed, but they were so packed that they couldn't let more people in. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna enjoy it anyways, even though I'm not gonna go in. So I just decided to go around the monument where I can see it from outside, and I decided to have a good time. So this is one thing that travel teaches us. It teaches us to embrace unpredictability of life and embrace the uncertainty, because life is uncertain and traveling is far from certain, especially if you try to do it the economic way, if you will. So, anyways, I rode some horses and I had a good time there. And I remember it was so hot, and I was just sitting there and I guess people watching. It's one of my favorite pastimes to do in other countries, because I just feel like the world is unfolding right in front of my eyes, and it's so spontaneous and so beautiful. It feels like I'm a part of a movie. And that's what I want you to feel like every day. I want you to feel like an active participant, and I want you to go after your dreams, whatever they may be. It might be travel for me, it might be something totally different for you. But the point is to be clear about what we want and to take consistent daily actions towards it. So anyways, getting back to the story, I was sitting there watching people and drinking some water on the side of the street, and it was so hot. And there in Mexico, they have a lot of stray dogs, just like I guess cats in other countries and stuff like that, but stray dogs. And I remember seeing that dog, and he looked very thirsty, and he was so hot, steaming hot. And I was sitting under the shade of a tree, and I was just drinking water. And I couldn't just let him go like that. He looked so desperate, and I couldn't let him like that. So I decided to just give him some water, but I didn't really have anything to put the water in. So I decided to pour the water in my hand and just give it to the dog. And some context before this. I'm not really comfortable with dogs because back in my country we didn't really have many dogs, and they weren't considered pets. So moving to the United States and having all these dogs is something totally new to me. So being in Mexico and with all this happening around me, I realized I couldn't let that dog go, but I'm still scared that he's gonna bite me or do something crazy. He's a stray dog, and I could really get in trouble if I get bit. It could be, I need to go to the hospital, or it might be deadly. Who knows? Moral of the story: I was like, you know what? I can't let you like that, and I just put the water in my hand and I let him drink it. And I could tell that both of us were scared, but he just drank it. And I put some more water and he drank it, and it basically was one of those moments where I just decided to trust the world, and the world, I think, trusted me back and didn't bite me, physically or metaphorically, if you will. So the moral of the story is to trust not just animals but people. and realize that people are not as crazy as they look on the news. The news usually show you the worst part of a country. And when you actually go there, you realize that people are just people. And this is one of the things that I want you to get out of it. We're much more similar than different. So it's hard to get that in someone's head unless you actually experience it. And that's why I'm advocating traveling for a variety of reasons. But the main is to realize that the world is a beautiful place and that people are generally more kind. A story that have happened to me recently and truly encapsulates the lesson that I'm trying to drive home in this video. Basically, I was in a bus and I was trying to get to another city. It was very different for me, and yes, I speak a lot better Spanish now than I did when I first started 5 years ago. However, sometimes you just got to make sure that the person, which is the driver that I was asking, is saying what you think he's saying, because it could cost you a lot of money and a lot of time if you're in the wrong bus. So I asked another guy and I was like, hey, is this what he's saying? And he was like, do you speak English? And I'm like, yeah, I speak a little bit of English. So he basically got out of the bus, waited for me to get out of the bus until I got my bag and everything, and literally escorted me to where I needed to go in the bus station, walked with me everywhere, gave me his bus card, and literally showed me where to buy it, stood with me until I bought or put like the next amount of money in the bus card, and then basically gave me his bus card and showed me where to go and waited for me to get on to the right bus. And I'm just like, he put me in the right place where I can get that bus. And then he told me, I used to be in the United States. He spoke broken English, and he told me he really struggled and he was lost for so many times when he first started. And I think that kind of empathy and that kind of kindness doesn't really come naturally for a lot of people unless they actually are put in a very vulnerable position where you're a traveler in a foreign country and you don't speak the language, but at the same time you're you're depending on the kindness of people to show you around and to help you, because sometimes no matter how much money or how much knowledge we have, sometimes we just feel lost, and that's okay. That's part of the travel, is the unknown, and you get to depend on the kindness of people to help you and show you around. And what I'm trying to drive out of this is basically you're going to be a much more empathetic and much kinder person once you travel, because you are put in those vulnerable positions. And when you see someone in that vulnerable position again, I bet you 9 times out of 10 you're going to go out of your way, just like that gentleman did, to help me. And I bet you I'm going to do the same for whoever needs it. So, moral of the story, be kind to others and travel, because traveling will help you and open your heart much more than you think is even possible. Guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It will really help out the channel, and it will give you the opportunity to see the new photos and, videos that we post consistently. So, this is a great channel to add to your arsenal to help you be a healthier and happier person. So, with that said, like, share, and subscribe, and let's continue. I remember I was walking around with a friend that was a traveler here in Colombia. That happened a few weeks ago, a few days ago actually. And I remember her asking me, "Why are you traveling?" Because everybody travels for different reasons. And I remember answering her, it doesn't make sense for me not to do otherwise. The world is too big and too beautiful for me not to travel. And this might sound corny or sound like a cliche thing to say, but it's the truth. It's how I genuinely feel. The world is too big for us not to do it, not to see the world, and not to just to stay in one place. It doesn't make sense. The world is too big, and we only got one life, so we might as well enjoy it. We might as well travel and see the world. And I remember in this trip, and it has only been started. This is my second week, and I'm grateful to be here. I was looking for a place to work out. So, practically speaking, I don't have a gym membership here, so I decided to go to a calisthenics park. And I just went, and I saw some couple of guys that were working out, and they looked like they were really into it, and they looked like they've been working out for a while. So I just decided to say hi. And obviously, with my broken Spanish and everything, I'm not like the most smooth person when it comes to Spanish, but I was like, hola, and I introduced myself and everything. And they were like, I can tell in the beginning they were like, who the heck is this guy? But then 5 minutes in, we're just sharing laughs and sharing jokes, and a few days later, they literally ended up giving me kind of like a private tour of their own city. And they showed me around, and I just felt so accepted and so loved and so welcomed. And I'm telling you this because I want you to realize that travel also helps you realize that relationships and love is what truly matter. It's what truly matters in this world. And this is my perspective, and I hope you find that as well in your case. So that's what I want to drive home. That traveling takes you away from all the distractions and shows you what truly matters. And this could be something different for you, but you wouldn't really know that until you actually take yourself out of that environment. You change that environment completely, and you realize that, okay, this is what truly matters to me, and I get to focus on it every day. Now, does this mean that you have to take a year off and travel around the world? You can, and I highly recommend it. But I know that some people have a lot of obligations, and it might not be affordable to everyone. And you can definitely make it more affordable, and we can talk about some strategies later. But what I want you to get out of this is that traveling is a mindset. It's not something that you go and do on vacation and then you get back home and everything is back to normal. No, it's a mindset that you live back at home and everywhere, wherever you go. So with that said, I want to recommend you a book that have definitely helped me switch my mindset, which is Vagabonding by Rolf Potts. Highly recommend that book, and it's a great starter for someone who doesn't know much about traveling or wants to get deeper into it. With that said, I want you to cultivate that mindset at home, and it starts with a genuine interest in people, continuous learning, and perhaps starting a habit of reading every day, because that's equivalent to traveling, but in a way that is much more economical. And also, it opens your mind to some of the great ideas from the great thinkers of whoever you decide to read from. So, basically, I want you to embrace that mindset of continuously trying to change your environment. Not every day, because this could get hectic, but once a week. Once a week, try to go to a different coffee shop or go to a different place to study or go to a different place to get your work done. And try to talk to someone new every day or every other day. Just try to mix it up. Try to introduce yourself to different ideas. That way, you're actually expanding. Because I do believe that ideas are not something to hold on to, but something to take, take the best, and then let them go. Not everything is worth holding on to. We're humans and we're constantly evolving. And if we hold on to the same idea for too long, it might become useless or even harmful. So it's important to embrace that mindset of unpredictability, embrace that mindset of adaptability, and to continuously learn and grow. And this starts back at home. Wherever you decide to go, I highly recommend you learning the language and customs of the place that you're going to. This is not just to show some respect or to even make your life easier, which it will tremendously. But I feel like learning the language is one of the most satisfying things that you could ever do in your intellectual career, if you will. It will open your mind to so many possibilities, to so many ways of understanding the world. And trust me, I've been learning Spanish for 5 years. This is my third language, and I'm telling you, it will open your mind and open so many possibilities to connect with people that you would have never ever had if you haven't learned that language. So people will feel much more comfortable around you, which are the speakers of that language. So if you really want to connect with people and you really enjoy it, which I do, and I feel like a lot of people do, take some time to learn that language, whatever it may be. And pick a language that you might help you in the long run too. But no matter what you do, learning a language can really help you mentally, but also emotionally and socially, and even financially. So it has a lot. Definitely give it a shot. With that said, let's talk about the logistics. Let's say you decide to take your next big trip, and it doesn't have to be the big trip, it can be different places or road trips or something like that. But let's talk about the big trips now, because I feel like those are the ones that have the most value and can make a huge difference in our lives. So let's say you want to go to Southeast Asia. You want to pick somewhere on the budget. So my options would be for you to go to either Southeast Asia or Latin America. Those are generally the cheapest options, or even Africa and then the Middle East. Those are pretty cheap too. Highly recommend you learning a little bit of the language, deciding what country you want to go to, and obviously to check the safety of that country, and to also set a budget. Set a budget. Look online and see the backpackers and how much they actually spend. And you'd be pretty surprised that you'll actually spend much less money over there traveling and having fun and learning about the world than in your own country. Especially if you live in the Western world, like, Europe, the United States, and so on. So check it out. See what country you want to go to. Decide the budget and start saving for it every day. And that's how you do it. And you'd be surprised that I've seen people on the road, they come up with creative ways to figure out accommodation and food, and they could even like volunteer for it or save up a little bit of money and live for months on the road and have the best time of their lives. You'll realize that we have much more possibilities than we really think. So check it out. Highly recommend it. Traveling is one of those things that really changed my life. And that's why I wanted to share it with you on this channel. I wanted to share it with the world. So check it out and let me know in the comments below, where do you decide to go and how does it go? That was it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below what country you decide to go to and what topic do you want me to talk about next. Thank you so much for watching. Stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next time. Bye-bye.